Okay, so this new Nintendo Switch 2 leak is actually strange because we're talking about a sketch of this console, not leaked photos off of the manufacturing line, but somebody who supposedly has inside info on what the console looks like, as well as the dock, taking to the internet and drawing something that has been talked about at length and passed around online. And I do want to weigh in my 2 cents on it because you might want to just throw this out at first glance and say that this is completely unreliable information, but the user that this originated from was actually one of the first accounts that I can find online talking about the fact that we would see the Joy-Cons attached to the new console magnetically, and that information has now been corroborated by multiple accessory manufacturers and various different credible outlets that do claim that, yeah, electromagnetic suction is indeed going to be the system on how these Joy-Cons attach to the new Switch console. And while again, at first glance, you'll look at a strange sketch and just write it off, we actually also saw the NX back when it was being called that before we got the official first look at the Nintendo Switch console, where a user that was working in manufacturing took to the internet and basically put out a drawing that looked pretty dang similar to what the Ultimate Switch ended up looking like at launch. So we'll get on the same page with all of this new info and also talk about specifically the dock design of this thing being like the one thing that sticks out in terms of just how there could be some new functionality or components within the dock, like we have seen suggested in verified shipping information we've talked about here before. And if true, the Switch 2 could be planned to be clocked at quite a higher speed when in docked mode, which would obviously just translate to better overall visuals and a gaming experience at the end of the day. So we'll get on the same page with all of this info. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And we have to first kick it off by hopping over to our gaming leaks and rumors, where they have the write-up on exactly what's being claimed here. FamiBoard's user posts sketch of Nintendo Switch 2 and dock. Nate the Hate sort of corroborates. User Ninspider posts a basic sketch of the alleged upcoming console, and Nate the Hate says it lines up with what he's been told and is still working to verify the information. Nate's exact quotes are as follows: "All I can say is that the dock sketch is similar in design / shape to the one I was sent several weeks ago," meaning a drawing of the alleged dock. "But I've been working to verify it. Whether this design has circulated Chinese forums or not, I do not know, but the general design matches what I was sent in September. Again, I haven't verified the design with any contact / source at this time." And what is the image in question? It is the following. Now, right out of the gate, this is a pretty rough drawing, so we're actually going to go over to another user that rendered this kind of redone, and the dock maybe is a little bit more angular here than it needs to be. It might be actually a little bit more rounded based off of the drawing, but you can kind of see the general idea of the shape of an upgraded dock or the next gen dock for the Nintendo console. And it's quite a bit beefier, quite a bit wider, and that would lead you to believe there's probably some reason for that. Additional components being inside, maybe a fan, which we will dive into in a moment, but also want to highlight the U-shaped kickstand on the Switch console itself, which does line up with some other reports that we have heard that now you have a hollowed out U-shaped kickstand on this next gen hardware instead of the entire back flap like we have with the OLED console, which, to be honest, that seems less stable to me. I guess you could view it as something of a carrying handle if you wanted to carry your console like that for some reason when in portable mode, but perhaps there's some type of reason for that, whether it be from a cooling perspective or just more area for ventilation and airflow, that maybe Nintendo needed to hollow out that dock and make it a U-shape this time, or just to differentiate it from the OLED model so it looks that much different on a side-to-side comparison. But then the real big question becomes, why would that dock need additional space? And that's kind of where we can tie this back to some of the previous leaks and information we've seen on the console, because there was a ton of shipping data that leaked out for component parts of this console. That's also backs up like the magnets thing like we were talking about. But furthermore, there was 2 different cooling fans that were spotted within those shipping documents. And what is interesting about a wider dock is maybe there's room for that additional fan there. It doesn't seem like the system itself would need 2 cooling fans internally, so the speculation is that that secondary cooling fan is likely going to be placed inside of the dock. And while you can't just cool down plastic and expect it to have any notable type of decrease in the internal thermal temperatures. Maybe Nintendo has some kind of clever design for this thing that when it is fully sitting within the dock, there's some kind of copper exposure points or something where it can utilize that additional airflow better to cool the internal of the console. It's all speculation, none of that's official, and we really don't know that the wider dock even does include an additional fan inside of there, but it could be a plausible thing to point to when we do have that shipping information, and now this is the supposed shape of a new dock for the Switch 2 console. I don't necessarily think Nintendo would make the dock bigger just to be bigger and take up that additional plastic and manufacturing and stuff. Like, they probably would want to have this thing have a smaller footprint on any home entertainment center type setup, but if they're putting additional size into the back of the dock, you kind of would assume that there's a reason for that, and maybe proper cooling or better cooling overall would be that reason. And then that is cool whenever it comes to the idea of Nintendo could potentially clock this chip quite a bit higher when in docked mode, just due to the more efficient additional cooling that they have implemented, and that ultimately obviously means better graphics, better visuals, and everything that we are hoping to see with this next generation hardware. Because a big reason the leaks are getting so strange recently is because people are just ready to see this console. In fact, just the other day on the 20th, it is the 22nd by the time you're seeing this video go live, but a couple days back, we hit the 8-year point since Nintendo revealed the original Switch hardware to us. Now, of course, we know it launched in March of 2017, so we're about 7.5 years old on this console actually being available in our hands. But since we first saw this system, that brand new Switch concept, play wherever you're at, and Nintendo merged all of their portable games into their home console setup, and now we have this hybrid system that we know and love as the Switch. That's been 8 years since we first officially laid eyes on this thing, and people are just flat out ready to hear what's next, see the visual fidelity of Nintendo's next generation games, and also get the new iterations of all of the franchises that we know and love. Like, stop and think about how long it's been since we've had a mainline AAA 3D Mario with Mario Odyssey. That came out in the launch year of the Nintendo Switch towards the end of 2017. We haven't seen a new from the ground up 3D Mario experience since then. Bowser's Fury was a little test sandbox mini 3D Mario experience, but not a full-scale one. So between that, Smash Bros, even Animal Crossing, all of Nintendo's giant franchises that will be in line for a fresh release on their next-gen hardware, us gamers are ready for that, and that's going to hopefully be revealed to us soon. I'm still Team 2024 at the time of filming, but I do think we are rapidly approaching kind of the last possible date that Nintendo could reveal it this year, and we're right in that time frame right now. Between now and their November 5th investors briefing, I do believe that if we go through that investors briefing and no official announcement has been made by then, we are likely looking at 2025 for a console reveal at that point. However, we've seen Nintendo make a lot of strange moves in 2024 in terms of their announcement cadence, like moving the Direct that we always historically see air in September, moving that up towards the end of August, merging a partner showcase and Indie World together for the first time, then having September just really cleared out other than Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and now we've had October, other than this Nintendo Switch Online play test and Super Mario Party Jamboree launch. Really, there's been nothing major going on over at Nintendo other than those couple of things. So the week we are in is somewhat likely, but I would actually lean more towards the week of Halloween, that 28th, 29th, or 30th date, most likely for a first look trailer. That is exactly 1 week before their investors briefing, and we did actually see them air the first look at the Nintendo Switch commercial 1 week before the investors briefing of that year in 2016. So there is some kind of pattern with that. If you want to say Nintendo likes to do this right before their investors briefing and specifically a week before it, but obviously we've been down this road together enough times that I don't blame anybody for not putting any hopes or expectations into a 2024 reveal at this point. And 2025, if it is when they revealed the hardware, would just be unfortunate because we would definitely be waiting later into the year to actually see the thing launch, no earlier than the halfway point if we're not learning about it until something like February or March of next year. But I'm still on Team 2024 at this point in time. I want to hear from you guys at this point in the video what you think about this new dock design that is floating around in this supposed leak of a sketch of a drawing of the Nintendo Switch 2 console. Do you buy it? Do you think that the dock will indeed be a wider, beefier one this time around for Nintendo's next gen hardware? What do you think about having a hollow U kickstand as opposed to what we have with the Switch OLED today, if that is indeed the design. And now that we're approaching more of the end season of October, are you feeling more or less confident that Nintendo is right around the corner from revealing the hardware? Or do you think, yes, indeed, 2025 will be the timeline we will ultimately see them do so? But make sure you share all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below before you leave, regardless if we agree or disagree. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, turn your notification bell. And with that, I've been Sunbro, you've been Nation. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.